Trump could end war in Ukraine by end of 2025. Zelensky's advisor explains Trump's pledge of Patriots for Ukraine leaves allies scrambling for details, and European ambassadors again failed to adopt 18th sanctions package against Russia, date of next attempt. The latest news next. The head of the office of the president of Ukraine, Andriy Yermak, said that the American president, Donald Trump, may end the war in Ukraine by the end of 2025. According to The Times, in an interview for The Times podcast, the general and the journalist Yermak said that only economic problems can truly press the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin and make him realize that continuing this war is costing him too much. According to Yermak, Trump really can end the war in Ukraine by the end of this year if he fulfills his threat to introduce significant new sanctions against anyone who buys Russian oil and gas. According to the advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the threat of secondary sanctions will be effective as it will also pressure China and India, the two largest importers of fossil fuels from Russia, to insist on a deal to avoid their own new trade wars with the White House.
These new sanctions from the United States are so important because, unfortunately, all this year, the price of oil has given him the opportunity to finance his military machine.
It should be noted that currently, according to Trump's plan, if peace is not achieved in Ukraine within 50 days, tariffs of 100% will be levied on goods imported into the USA from any country that imports any goods from Russia.
Sanctions, will create very strong pressure on Putin, and he will lose a huge amount of money. And the countries who buy Russian oil will also press him.
US President Donald Trump is dissatisfied with Kremlin leader dictator Vladimir Putin's actions regarding Ukraine. While he always hopes diplomacy will succeed, he is also a realist, states US State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce. During the briefing, Bruce was asked about the 50-day deadline for Russia, referring to the secondary tariffs Trump has threatened. She was asked whether the US had received any signals from Russia indicating interest in a diplomatic resolution to the war in Ukraine. She responded,
"I would say that referring back to President Trump's remarks probably gives us the most immediate sense of whether or not he views things are being positive, or he is happy with what Vladimir Putin has been doing. And of course, we've heard from him that he's not happy. That's how I would characterize it."
The State Department spokesperson added that Trump is not impressed with how events are unfolding and once again emphasized his dissatisfaction. She also noted that the US president's current actions aimed at providing Ukraine with more defensive weapons reflect that dissatisfaction.
But I've said before, while he is a diplomat and is forever optimistic with diplomacy, he is also a realist. And the world has seen, as Iran has seen it, and now these new actions with the president that Russia is seeing. He is a patient man, but not at the expense of his vision and making that happen.
US President Donald Trump's promise to supply Ukraine with additional European-funded weapons, including Patriot air defense systems, has caught even close US partners off guard as they learned of the plan only during its announcement, reported by Reuters.
President Donald Trump has finally found a way to like arming Ukraine. Ask European allies to donate their weapons and sell them American replacements. Now comes the hard part, agreeing on who will actually give up their prized systems, including the Patriot missile batteries that Kyiv has been desperately seeking.
Despite Trump's claim that some Patriot systems would arrive in Ukraine within days, Reuters notes it is now clear he has presented a general framework and not a detailed plan. According to 10 US and European officials, the scale of support for Ukraine hinges on future negotiations over who will provide the promised weapons. The key question is who will supply Patriot batteries and when. Quote from one Northern European ambassador in Washington. As always in such cases, the devil is in the details. Reuters highlights that Ukraine and its allies have warmly welcomed the plan developed by Trump and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, as well as Trump's shift in rhetoric on the Russia-Ukraine war. However, some European officials have expressed frustration at footing the bill for Trump's pledge. During a at the 14th of July Oval Office meeting with Trump, Rutte named 6 NATO countries, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands, and Canada, as being ready to join the arms procurement program. Reuters report that the announcement surprised US allies. Near sources at 2 of these countries' embassies in the US said they learned of the plan only when it was announced, suggesting that even close allies were informed in real time. Here is a quote from one European ambassador.
It is my clear sense that nobody has been briefed about the exact details in advance. I also suspect that internally, in the administration, they are only now beginning to sort out what it means in practice.
When Reuters sent the Pentagon a request for comment, it referred the agency to Trump's the 14th of July speech in which he announced his agreement with Rutte. The White House and Ukraine's embassy in Washington did not respond to request for comment. 3 US officials involved in weapons issues said the real work is now beginning, with negotiations underway to assess which NATO allies can supply Ukraine. European officials are generally positive about the initiative. Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen, speaking in Brussels on the 15th of July before a European ministerial meeting, said, "We're ready to participate." One official identified Germany, Greece, the Netherlands, and Spain as potential donors of Patriot batteries, as they have multiple systems or face relatively low threats. However, Greece and Spain have previously resisted calls to donate Patriots, citing their own and NATO's defense needs. Another official said, the Trump administration is reviewing NATO stockpiles to identify available equipment, with plans to persuade allies to donate in exchange for a trade. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, who visited the Pentagon on the 14th of July, said discussions on sending Patriot batteries to Ukraine would continue in the coming days or weeks. He noted that no systems would reach Kiev for several months, likely delaying delivery past the tactically critical summer period. Another official described Trump as being directly involved in the talks, though they remain squishy. Quote from European official: "So far, folks have said we can help. Now what that means, we don't know." European ambassadors once again failed to approve the 18th sanctions package against Russia during the meeting of the European Committee of Permanent Representatives in Brussels on the 16th of July, reported by European Pravda, citing several diplomats familiar with the course of discussion. Details: the 18th European sanctions package against Russia was not adopted at the Coreper meeting on the 16th of July. The diplomats said that Slovakia and Malta still continue blocking the proposed package of sanctions against Russia. Another diplomat told European Pravda that the issue of sanctions against Russia and the 18th package will be included on the agenda of the General Affairs Council meeting on the 18th of July. Every hour of hesitation fuels the enemy's aggression, while Ukraine believes some in Europe still calculate and compromise. This isn't just about sanctions, it's about the soul of Europe, about standing up to genocide, about choosing justice over convenience. Slovakia, Malta, your silence and stalling echo for beyond Brussels. Each blocked package is another broken promise to the victims of this brutal war. Ukraine does not have the luxury of delay. Neither should Europe. If the Europe cannot act decisively now, when bombs are falling and civilians are dying, then when? This is a test of values, of unity, of courage. The time for diplomacy without consequence is over. The time for bold, historic action is now. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Support Ukraine, like and subscribe.